What's up, guys? This week I finally wanted to take the time to make a video here about my 1994 S10 Blazer. This was originally a Craigslist find that I paid $750 for, gosh, 2.5 years ago already. When I got the truck, it had a transmission problem. It didn't have second or fourth gear, so just first and third. So of course the first thing I did after I brought it home was to get to work on fixing the transmission. I decided I was going to try to rebuild it myself rather than buying a fully rebuilt or brand new transmission. Honestly, in retrospect, I kind of wish I would have just bought a reman transmission from somebody that specializes in that. There's actually a company close here to me in Florida, Monster Transmissions. So might check them out if you have any similar issues. I did end up finally getting the transmission to work here. That required me taking it out of the truck and reinstalling it 3 separate times before it finally decided to work. First time it worked really well for a couple of miles, and then I blew up the sprag. If you're familiar with the inner workings of a transmission, got a couple miles down the road and that blew apart on me, so I had to pull it apart. Second time I put it back in, and the new sprag I had installed backwards, so it had to come out a third time, and third time was finally the charm. So it runs, drives, shifts now. Done a couple of, actually 3 cross-country road trips in it already, and put about 10,000 miles on the clock already since I fixed the transmission last spring. Some of the other upgrades I did after I got it running again was put a new front bumper on here. The old one was not chrome, and it had a big dent in it here, right here by the marker light. So got a new chrome bumper there. Also installed LED headlights. That was actually cheaper than getting 2 nice, or 2 of the high quality sealed Sylvania lights to replace what was in there. So these were like 35 bucks off eBay, and they're very bright. They work very well. I'm very happy with those. Also went ahead and rewrapped the Chevy emblem there with some blue carbon fiber. That was pretty cool. Only cost a couple bucks. So the interior was in decent condition when I got it, considering it's got it had 230,000 miles on it. Passenger seats in pretty good shape. It does have leather, or vinyl rather. The driver's seat is pretty beat up. I just got a cheap lower seat cover for that, which is not on there very well right now, but you get the idea. It makes it better. Also common in these trucks, the dashboard is cracked. I think they all did that, so I still need to get some kind of cover. I want to get a dash cap that actually looks nice, not just the carpet cover for that. Replace the entire stereo, new speakers, just a cheap head unit there. Got my fun little road rage button there. Of course, that doesn't actually do anything. Steering wheel is also pretty nasty. It had this cover on it when I got it. I do have a new Grant wheel sitting in the garage over here, so I need to get that installed. A few other things. I have cleaned the interior up. I cleaned the carpets, not that you can really tell. I tried to clean the seat belts here, and I scrubbed that, and they're still disgusting. So I actually just watched Saab Kyle 04's video. Shout out to him on his interior for his 94 Jimmy, and he had a great idea. He took them out and pressure washed them. So I'm gonna do that. Not in this video, but sometime soon here I'm gonna pull those out and go to town. So let's see. I also fixed some of the interior plastic. I just epoxied it back together. Not that you can really see it, but it was cracked and broken, as a lot of these are. So let's see, here's the engine bay. Actually looks pretty good for a 25-year-old truck with 240,000 miles on it now. Most of the accessories I've replaced. I put a new air conditioning compressor on there. I upgraded to an alternator off of a Suburban, so that's a higher amperage alternator. Needed a little modification of the bracket, but it fit in there pretty nicely. Water pump is new. Power steering pump is, I think, the only thing I haven't replaced on the front end here. Pulleys, tensioners, everything's new. I also had to replace the, you can't really see it. I had to replace the steering box and basically rebuilt the whole steering suspension for the truck. On the driver's side here, the control arm bushings were not only bad, they were basically completely gone when I picked this thing up. So it clunked around, and the first time I actually drove it, it was very scary. It was terrifying. Anything above about 30 miles an hour, you could saw at the wheel and basically nothing happened. So that got all fixed. The most dramatic improvement in the steering actually came from the upgraded steering shaft that I installed out of a Jeep Cherokee that had solid U-joints rather than the factory rag and tulip joints that are terrible. If you haven't done this or you haven't heard of this upgrade, I would highly recommend it. It made a dramatic difference. I also went ahead and when I replaced all the bushings, control arm bushings and everything else, I use polyurethane bushings, not that you can really tell. So all new poly bushings in the front there. I also put new leaf spring bushings in the back that are poly. And also with that, I did the Pro Comp Add a Leaf kit. So just a single little helper spring that's in there. If you can see it. Yeah, so there, kind of sandwiched in there, is the helper spring. So didn't really give me much of a lift, but it did stiffen up the back end a little bit, fix the sag. So also inside here, I've upgraded everything to LEDs. So the reading lights, dome light, that one could use a bigger one, it's not very bright. And then also, I upgraded the footwell lights to LEDs, so that's much better. It really gives the car a much more modern look, so no more yellow lights. Also the tail lights, brake lights, everything are LEDs in the truck now as well. Most of the truck I've added sound, like boom mat kind of stuff, Dynamat, I forget what, I think it was an off-brand that I used, but I've added that to the doors. That made a big difference. Also added a little bit to the back under the carpets here, although I haven't done the whole thing. In the back here, I also went ahead and upgraded with brand new taillight housings to go along with the LEDs. I picked the ones that do look basically stock, but they're a little more modern looking, a little cleaner. So really happy with those also. Much nicer look for the truck. So other things I still need to do, the roof rack. That needs to come off there and get repainted. So there's still a number of little things I need to do, but I've been driving the thing. I've been driving this, basically using it as my daily driver for the most part. Normally that's the Audi here, but it's got some issues. So actually I think I've got a big vacuum problem there. So I'm gonna work on tackling that, but that's basically undrivable right now. So I drive the Blazer. Alright, so there's a little backstory on the Blazer for you. Some other things to stay tuned for. I'm gonna install some electric cooling fans on this. I've got some multi-function LEDs I'm going to install into the third brake light. As I mentioned earlier, I've got a new steering wheel that needs to go in and a few other bits and pieces. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't so you don't miss the next video. Leave a like or a comment down below, and I'll see you next time.